Myself there. Hi. Oh, thank you. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Hi, Glosh. Thank you. Where are you watching from? Where are you watching from? Thank you. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Welcome. Do you have an interview coming up in the NHS? Maybe I can help you with that. I need to try and move some of my storage as well. I'm running out of space in my hard drive, so I need to try and move it. And the other one I bought wasn't very good. Hi everyone, thank you. Welcome to my live. So we'll try and do that today as we're in this live. How many spaces does this thing have? Not many space. Oh, probably do it on another laptop. Yeah. Welcome everyone. Hi Glosh. Where you watching from? Where are you watching from? Thank you. Hi, how are you? Welcome. Hi everybody. Hi, welcome everybody. Welcome. Welcome. So we need to just talk about interviewing in the NHS and how best to present yourself. I think I've seen a lot of what's it called interviews in the last couple of weeks where people are not presenting themselves properly. So I think that's my new kind of strategy now, or my new kind of way I want to help people. In terms of, there's one thing to write the perfect application, there's another thing to be selected for an interview, and there's another thing for you to actually ace that interview. You might have the right things to say, or you might think you're saying the right things, but you're not actually saying the right things. And the last week, I think I've had about three people come to me asking me to help them with interviewing, and the last minute they just kind of dropped out. I know for sure at least one of them came back to me to say, oh, yeah, they didn't get the job. And I'm like, of course, you're not going to get the job. It's not about bragging or anything like that. It's about the help that I do afford people in terms of preparing for an interview. There's one thing for you to prepare for your interview, and there's another thing to actually know what to say in the interview. That's another thing. And what you're saying, is it actually reaching the other person in terms of how you're explaining yourself? Is it actually reaching the other person? Yeah. So I think that's what we need to make sure that you're saying properly. Yeah, it's streaming. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah. So yeah, let me know if you need any help, because if you're preparing for your interview, it's always better for someone else to be able to hear what you're saying. You might think you're actually saying the right answers, but you're not actually answering the questions. I've had interviews with people where what they're actually saying is not actually answering the question. I've done an interview prep with one of my clients where I had to ask her at least three times to answer my question. Oh, congratulations, CEO. You have three interviews next week. Congratulations. How are you preparing for your interview? I just want to know how you're preparing for your interview. What are you doing? What are you reading? How are you preparing for that interview, CEO? Let me know. Let me know how you're preparing for the interview. It's one thing for you to get that job, get that interview. And it's another thing for you to actually be saying it correctly, actually answering the question. I can ask you A, and you might be answering me B. The answer you're giving me is B. Although the answer is correct, or if I ask a different question, maybe I ask the question in a different way, that answer might have been correct, but you're not actually answering the question. Oh, thanks so much for the rose. You're not actually answering the question that I've actually asked you. So I think knowing how to answer questions properly is the difference Okay, so see, I say you're reading the job description and the trust values and learning how to use STAR method to give examples. That's very good. All what you're doing is the right thing to do. And if you work with me, that was probably the same thing I would do. But the difference about working with me is me hearing the answers that you're giving. So if I ask you, tell me about the time that you worked in a team. If you're giving me an answer, or you worked in a team, you were able to let me see, I'm trying to think of how you're going to answer this question. Give an example of how you worked in a team. You worked in a team, you were the one that was in charge of everything, you were the one to I'm trying to think of an example. You're the one that's okay. Let's say for example, as a band, give us an example of how you worked in a team, or give us the question is, give us an example of how you worked in a team. And your answer is, I worked, sorry, what's going on in my thing? Sorry about that. Something's going on my laptop. I don't know what that is. Give us an example of how you worked in a team. You give us an example of when I was working as a band three. I was placed in a team where there was an issue, and as a result of that, I had to tell my manager to about the issue. Then I went back to. I'm not even answering this question properly, truthfully. I probably need to look at my book to actually know what I need to say. But I'm just trying to say that when you say that, you need to ensure that you're answering the question of your teamwork. You need to give examples of teamwork, collaboration, communication, um, data analysis, depending on what kind of question it is in terms of GDPR and all that kind of things, or give us an example of how you dealt with a difficult client, and give us an example of while working in a busy NHS, or while working in as a band five nurse. A patient came to me asking me about their test results, and I told them about the results, but they were not very pleased with the results. And instead, they insisted they wanted to speak to my manager. I calmly explained to them that they need to kind of work with me to try and get the results. To I tried to ask them what they needed to speak to my manager about in terms of that result, and they just very aggravated. They were upset. They did not want to listen. They started throwing tantrums. They started raising their voices. In that kind of situation, what I did was then try to ensure that they were calm. I tried to explain, kind of give them a bit of space for them to be able to calm down. I tried to kind of palpate them to ensure that they okay. I'm going to come back to you, CEO. I'm going to come back to you. I'm just trying to explain this answer, dealing with a difficult client or dealing with a difficult patient. And you try to placate them, but they were not listening. Then you just give them a room and ask them to kind of just sit to one side and tell them, okay, you're going to get your manager to ensure that they get the right information, even though the information that you've given them was the right information, but you still definitely try and get someone to kind of help them. Then you go back to explain to your manager who is actually busy at that point in time, but then you come back and advise the patient that, oh, the manager is unavailable at the moment. If they're willing to wait, they should wait. But bring in with you when you're coming back the second time the documentation of the information that they've actually requested, and showing them and making sure that they understood. It's telling them in plain, simple languages and all that. So this way, it shows your ability to communicate effectively, your teamwork, because you still went to speak to your manager, and the manager kind of gave you pointers of how to do it and all that. So bringing it back to the communication, clear languages, teamwork, and all that. That's how to kind of answer it. I think because I'm not an RMN or an RGN or something like that, my answers um, are not going to be the same, or they're not going to kind of say it properly like I would expect it to say it to me when I'm sitting in that interview panel. Okay, so for so many people that don't actually know who I am, I've worked in the NHS for the last 10 years, over 20 years experience combined, working in HR and all that. So My main role in the NHS really is employee relations, recruitment, sitting on interview panels, and all that. I've done a bit of transformation work and all as part of my role, but in the last couple of months, I've focused more on interviewing because I realized that I have a lot to offer in that kind of field and all that. With you, CEO, getting interviews week in, week out, that's a plus to you. And like I said when I started this live, there is one thing for you to get interviews. There is another thing for you to pass the interviews. So how are you saying it? In as much as you said you're reading the job description, the person specification, you're reading about the organization, how are you answering the question? Because I tried to answer a question and it was so difficult for me, maybe because I'm not in that interview mode yet. But when I think because I'm not the one at the other side, I'm the one at this side. Because when there are two sides, from when you are sitting across from the interview panel and you saying the answers to the panel, it's a different ballgame for me because there are things that I'm actually looking for or that I want to hear in what's it called in the interviews that what's it called in the interviews when the person is actually talking, there are pointers. The way the NHS works is that there's kind of like guidelines of what we want to hear. The scores are really about between 1 and 5. So 5 is meets all criteria and goes above and beyond. 4 is perfect, as in a perfect answer and all that. 3 is, yeah, you kind of meets it, but meets a bit of criteria and all that. Then 2 is kind of somewhat meets. I think I need to actually get my work laptop. Let me get my work laptop out so I can look at the parameters of the interview. What's it called? I can look at the parameters of the interview answers for you guys. CEO, I said my problem is the fear whenever interview starts. Interview start, and I really don't know what to do. I think you need to. Sorry, I think you need to ensure that when you're answering, you need to sound confident. That's what practice helps with. A lot of people might feel they don't need to practice or they don't need to say it out to somebody to hear their answers. But you actually do need to say it to someone to hear your answers. Just hold on 1 minute, please. Hold on. Sorry. Thought there was someone else on my door. Um, you actually need to actually say to someone to be able to hear what you're saying because you might feel as if, like I said, you might feel as if you are saying the right things, but you're not actually saying the right things. You're not actually saying the right things. So that's the difference between um that's the difference between having someone to hear your answer and you doing it yourself. Is this one not coming up? I'm just trying to look for the parameters of what the interview scoring sheet looks like. I can't remember. As in, I just want to make sure I'm giving the right answers in terms of the right points. Why is it not coming up? Because this is my work laptop, so Jesus, it's so dusty. I did hibernate it. I'll wait for it to come up. So once yeah. So that's why you need to work with someone. I think working with someone and the person hearing your answers gives a different flavor. Trust me, I work with like one of my clients, she's interviewing for a midwife role. And is it this one? And she was telling me the answers. And I had to tell her like 3 times. I think I had to tell her 3 times. That's not my question. That's not my question. I needed to repeat it to her over and over again for her to finally tell me the answer. If she was answering a different question, that answer would have been perfect. But if she would answer, well, I answering my question. That why is this laptop not coming on? But her answering my question was she was not. I'm trying to yeah. I have my workbook and I have my um client's book. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think this is one of the ones we were doing where I was scoring. I think she had a 3.5 on this one when I when I scored her. I'm quite stingy with my marking when I do sit on interview panels. My work laptop is kind of booting up again, so yeah, I'm trying to because I use like different books. My daughter is not going to be pleased when she comes in. I'm scattering her room again. Okay, that's this. I think this is work. This is my workbook. Yeah, HR. We have a lot of notebooks we carry about. I'm sure you've seen us at work where we carry a lot of papers about. I think there was one that I needed to use my work for my clients. I'm trying to find one of the. Yeah, I think I used this one actually. Oh, yeah, this is one of the ones I was formulating questions for people. I'm not sure you guys can see it. Why have you applied for the primary care manager position? Tell us a time you received constructive feedback. How did you respond to how did you respond and what did you learn? These are like two of the questions that we asked in one of my interviews. I don't even know which one this one is. That we're formulating questions. Um this is my workbook. I'm just looking at it. I don't need to. These are some of my cases that I'm dealing with at the moment as well. I think I just tore some of them out, so I think I'll add this to my work notebook. But yeah, how does the service work? Because this is your first time here. Oh, you're welcome. If you email me on. I never know how to do this. I never know how to comment. I never know how to pin my comments as well. So this is my email address. Email me and we can talk. Let me try and pin it. It never lets me pin my comments. I don't know if it's pinned it. Couldn't pin comments. You can try again. It keeps saying that every time I try to pin my comments. It keeps saying that every time. Oh Lord. Um, I don't know why this is not happening properly. This one here. I'm trying to stream on YouTube as well. I don't know why it's not working. Oh Lord. Now, yeah, I think it's actually working, but I can't just see it on my panel for some weird reason. Okay, it's working in some way. Yeah, I can just see it on my panel. So yeah, this is one of the books I use for my thing. Okay. Um, my email. I think I've just put it up somewhere here. I don't know why it never lets me pin it for some weird reason. I don't know why. I'm going to send my email address again. You do need help. I think with interviewing, it's a different kettle of fish. You need someone that is experienced in interviewing to kind of hear your answers as to is that am I actually saying the right things? Am I actually answering the question? Am I actually answering the questions properly? I think that's what most people need. Yeah. I've put my email address again, the human resources playbook at gmail.com. You can always look for me on YouTube as well. I have a YouTube channel, Your HR Ally. The link to my YouTube channel is on my profile. So if you click on my profile, there's a link that takes you directly to my YouTube page. On my YouTube page, I'm doing this kind of series of interview questions and answers for from band twos to band six. I should really do some band sevens because I've been on like two band seven interviews in the last couple of weeks. So I should really do that interviews for band seven. But I don't think band sevens. I think they're already kind of well advanced in interviewing for them to have gotten to a band seven role. So they don't really need as much help as band two, three, four, five, and six. So over the last couple of weeks, I've started putting out more videos about interview questions and answers, real life interview questions and answers um, that I've sat on the panel for, where we've been able to um, ask questions, and I've been able to get the answers and be able to kind of interpret the answers to the audience. So I've put up a lot of videos. You can go and watch it on my YouTube channel. That might help. That might help. Yeah. Yeah, clinical support worker role band 3. Those should be really easy for you to be able to get, but you need to answer those questions properly. There are some keywords that they're looking for. I'm trying to, okay, let me try and turn on this laptop again. Hopefully it turns on. There are some key answers. Okay, it's turning on, thank God. There are some key answers that they are looking for. There's some keywords that you need to be saying during your interview. You need to be talking, you need to use the JD, which you've been using. If you read your JD, there'll be some keywords in there, how they're describing what's it called? How they're describing how they're describing what's it called? How they're describing the person that they're actually looking for. So you need to be putting yourself in that shoe. If they're saying, oh, we need someone that is enthusiastic, in your answer, when you're saying the words to them, you've said, oh yeah, I'm very enthusiastic about this role. That's already like one mark. I'm trying to okay, I don't want my because my trust flashes up on my laptop. So yeah, I'm just going to log in. I want to quickly just look at the scoring sheet for my last interview because most of the times I kind of delete it because they're always kind of big files when they send it to you for interviewing, because you'll get packs for people, at least depending on the interview, you get sometimes 6 packs that they will send to you via email. The recruiting manager or the recruiting officer person will send you the packs, and most times will ask us to download it and print it. So sometimes the manager is always nice and just prints it out for us, for us to see. Yeah. So yeah, um, really, you need help. I have an interview for volunteering with Penny Care Trust. Um, volunteering. Volunteering should be quite easy in terms of getting a role as a volunteer. You just need to be able to just say to them, based on what they need, really. I think with volunteering, I don't think that should be hard for you to get it. So just read the job description and just be the person they want, really. Volunteering is quite easy. I don't think you need my help for you to get a volunteer role where you're not going to be getting paid, because I do charge for my services. So I wouldn't want you to pay for my service to get a role that they don't pay you. Is counter is it doesn't make any sense. And I would not in good conscience want to charge you for that kind of service. No, so no. Yeah. Um just 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 yeah. So I'm just trying to get back into my emails to find the scoring sheets. Don't know what's wrong with that one now. Emails. If I find the scoring sheets, I'll be able to let you know what they actually want to hear from you. This is my work laptop. So this is my work laptop. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm just trying to see if I can find um where you. Yeah. So I got one paper. I'll try and see how I can put it up for you guys. Okay, yeah. Let me put it up properly. Okay. I'm going to flip the camera around a bit so that you guys can see. Oh, let me close her email. Let me just download it actually. Let me download the scoring sheet because my colleague's name is showing in that email with the scoring sheets. Yeah. So I think this one was on Tuesday, this interview, this one that I have the scoring sheets. Okay. So it's flipped around. Let me try and see if I can turn this thing around for you guys. Flip camera. Okay, yeah. So this is what a scoring sheet looks like. Or on YouTube, you wouldn't be able to see. I don't know. I'm going to be able to do that on YouTube. Sorry, guys. Um, this is the scoring sheet, so it gives you the name of the person. The first question, this was for a band five RGN. Yes, RGN. Yeah. So the first question was, you feel like, oh, this trust is quite easy, but yeah, you'll be surprised the scores from these people. Can you tell us about your responsibilities in your present posts? What motivated you to apply for the post? Oh goodness. Post, and what skills will you bring to this role? The second question was, tell us about a challenge or problem that you have encountered in your present role. How did you deal with the situation and what did you learn from it? The, oh no. Yeah, I think the name of my trust came up there. Oh Lord, that wasn't very smart of me. Um, I need to. So the next one was about values. Then, what's going on my laptop? So there was the scenario question they did in terms of the values. Um, you're working with a senior nurse in the treatment room. A patient, Mr. A, comes to you for his medication. He has a live script, but no medication available. The senior nurse then takes the medication out of the box of another patient, Mr. B, and gives it to Mr. A. What will you do? And the last one was, how would you manage an aggressive patient who feels like the needs are not being met? So that is it. So when we're scoring, sorry about that. When we're scoring, this is what the scoring is. So for you to get a five, much more than acceptable. So significantly exceeds criteria for successful job performance, provides large amounts of high quality evidence demonstrating experience considerably beyond the level specified in the person specification. So that's for you to get a five. Then for you to get a four, you more than acceptable. Extra criteria for successful job performance. Um, Supports competence with compelling. Just trying to see if things like yeah, was it support competence with compelling details of experience, demonstrate past abilities at or beyond that required in the person specification. So it's not just about the person specification; it's also about you going above and beyond for you to get a four. So acceptable answer is meet criteria for successful job performance. That means, yeah, if you have all threes, we can still give you the job. That's what you're saying in this one. So that's you meet the criteria for successful job performance as provided sufficient quality and quantity of evidence of competence to undertake the role. Answers are drawn from experience, demonstrate potential to develop in the role. Then number two, for you to get a two, is less than acceptable, generally doesn't meet the criteria for successful job performance, as presented either insufficient evidence or unsupported evidence of ability. Evidence does not show sufficient experience or is unconvincing, relies on hypothetical answers rather than experience. May have the potential with support to undertake the role. So for you to get one, much less than acceptable, significantly below the criteria for successful job performance, nor or sparse evidence given of competencies or experiences, does not support assertions or ability with any details of experience, and you get zero if no relevant experience provided. I've been in an interview, I think that's the end of it. I've been in an interview where I've been in an interview where someone got one out of six questions. This was for a band seven role. That person got one out of six times five. That's what six that's 30. So the person got one. Yeah, it was six questions. One out of 30 questions. And that one was just even because I just feel bad. That's why would I give this person 0 out of 30? And that was how I get the person one for attendance. I think that's what we gave her one for attendance. So yeah, interviewing really, trust me, it's not for the faint-hearted. It's is your final dance, is your final space to show that interviewer, the shortlisting manager, that you're the right person for this job. That is the place you need to be putting yourself in the shoes of in the shoes of that role. So, for example, if you are going for a band five role, you need to put yourself that I'm already working here. This is how I'm going to support my colleagues. This is how I'm going to behave. This is how I'm going to act. If I'm dealing with a difficult client, or if I'm dealing with an aggressive person, how would I behave to this person? Remember your star answers. Of course, the star answers are the best way to answer this question. Remember the star answers, yes. But also remember that you are sitting in front of someone that's trying to give you a job. So when we go for interviews, we have the mindset that we need to recruit today. We don't have the mindset of, oh, I'm not going to recruit today. No, because firstly, shortlisting, when we did the shortlisting for one of the roles that we did, there were over 300 applicants. Do you know how long it takes to shortlist 300 applicants? It took us over 2 weeks. It took us over 2 weeks. I'm going to give you my email address, CEO. I'm going to put it again now, again, because it's not letting me pin it for some weird reason. This is my email, the human resources playbook at gmail.com. I've just put it up again. It's underneath your comments, so you should be able to see it. It's the host that has written something. The only thing I write in this chat are mostly about it's always my email address I put up here. So what was I saying? Sorry, I've lost my train of thoughts. So when we shortlisting taking over 300 applicants, and that was because we forgot to tell the recruiting officer that after 50 they need to close that advert. We kind of what's it called? We forgot. So the interview ran for the normal 2 weeks interview time, and we had over 300 applicants. Then the manager dragged me, screaming and crying, to come and help them shortlist. We did that shortlisting over 2 weeks. That was because I had my day job. They had their day job. They had stuff that they were doing at work and all that. That was time consuming. So it took us over 2 weeks to shortlist. And it took us an additional, maybe another 3 weeks for us to be able to work our diaries together, because then I think I was doing a couple of investigations, and I was doing a couple of hearings as well. So I couldn't kind of put that aside, and those ones actually take the whole day as well. So the investigations is torture. The hearing is torture, because I don't really like putting people through that. Everyone should just behave themselves at work and will not go through all this investigation and whatnot. Oh my goodness. Who can't see my email again? PG. I'm going to put my email again. I will put it again. It's the human resources playbook. I'm going to put it again. If you just look for any of my comments, that's my email address. The human resources playbook at gmail.com. That's my email address. Or you can send me a DM on here, or you can send me a message on one of my YouTube videos. I really encourage you guys to go on my YouTube channel and watch my YouTube videos. Watch my YouTube channel. Subscribe to my page on YouTube as well. The link to my YouTube is through my profile on here. So yeah, you can send me a message there. Email me here at the human resources playbook at gmail.com. Oh, thank you, COL. I would have a look after the live, and I would reach out to you. Okay, I keep losing my train of thoughts. What was I saying? I forgot what to say. So yeah, so I think knowing how best to answer, I'm probably talking about something else now. Knowing how best to answer questions are always the best. When we then finally finished shortlisting, we did the interview. Do you think that after going through all that drama for about nearly 5 6 weeks, we'll now say, "I'm going for the interview"? We'll now say, "We're going for this interview today, and we don't want to recruit anybody." No, we want to recruit so we don't have to go through that process again. Shortlisting is hard, especially when you see amazing people and you have just a certain amount of people that you have to shortlist. Your criteria just kind of starts gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. You need to just kind of streamline it. After a while, you just need to streamline it. I wouldn't want, out of those 300 people, I think we shortlisted about 15. So it's a jungle out there in terms of how strict people are. It's now a buyer's market. It's no longer a, I mean, is it a seller's market? Yeah, it's a seller's market. Sorry, it's a seller's market now. That means most organizations now have the power over people with the skills. They have the power over people with the skills. So because now there are so many limited roles available, employers can now decide to, what's the right word, shakara themselves. I think that's the right word. As in kind of flaunt it that, yeah, we're it. You want us and all that. I don't believe people are still emailing me at 10 at night. That's my work email that just made some sound. Who is emailing me? Who is working at this time? Bloody hell. Sorry, I'm being nosy. Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah, that's one of our cases. One of these naughty nurses that's she's been naughty. Yeah, we might be putting her through a disciplinary. Yeah, I'm guessing maybe she's on night. Hence the reason why she's emailing at this time of the night. Yeah. So that's interesting. I'll read that on Monday. I don't want to open it. I've just seen her name pop up and I'm like, oh yeah, I know you. Yeah. So we will always want to get that right person for that role. And we've been in situations where they've gotten it wrong as well. So we need to make sure that we get it right the first time, because going through capability is not fun as well. Going through capability is not fun at all, at all. Before I forget, thank you everyone that has been messaging. I've been sending hearts. I've been liking the live. I've been sharing the live as well. I'm just going through. I'm just going through it. Yeah, the DH show. I've put my email address in the chat. Unfortunately, I don't know how to pin my comments, or my comments are not pinning for some weird reason. I don't know. If you go through the chat, you see I'm the host. So you see the only messages I put up here are my email address. So if you go through the chat, you should be able to see my email address one way or the other. But I will keep trying to put it at different points. I'll put it now again. Sorry about this. I'll put it now again. Um, I'll comment. I don't know why I'll comment again. Yeah, yeah. I'll comment again. So you can see my email address. I've just put it up again. So yeah, I'll check all the DMs after the live. I'll check all the DMs after the live. But yeah, so the main point about shortlisting and shortlisting is to make sure that we find the right person. When we sit down at the other side of the table, we are trying to get the right person for that team. In the last couple of weeks as well, I've been telling the managers to add testing. So if I think when we were doing COVID, there wasn't really any need. During COVID, there wasn't really any need for us to do those testing and all that. But now, but now, we're now able to do testing because now most of the interviews are face to face. I was speaking to someone today or yesterday actually that wanted to employ my services, but she decided not to anymore, which is fine. Um, And she said to me that in the last couple of weeks that she's been getting loads of interviews as well, which is good on her. But the problem is that once you tell them that you're not around or you're not in the country and request for MS Teams, they kind of shut down and kind of say no, which is fair enough. You would have to really give me a good reason for you to convince me why you cannot attend my interview face to face. You need to give me a very good reason. Being out of the country, yes, if I really want to, yes, based on your application form, if you are really a good candidate, based on your application form, I can't give allowances. But a lot of organizations now are saying no. And that's because of the testing that they've started putting in place into interviewing. I know this might sound weird, this might sound far fetched, this might sound untrue, but we've had a band six nurse that cannot take blood pressure, manual or with the thing on the arm. She was doing it over a fake fleece. Yeah, she couldn't take the blood pressure, and she doesn't know how to do it manually. I think I keep saying this story because it's so baffling to me in terms of how much people don't understand the amount of pressure that it's out there for recruiting managers and organizations to make sure that we're getting it right. That kind of nurse is dangerous. That kind of nurse, luckily, she's decided to resign, which is great for us because we had to put her on supernumerary. When I heard that she was going through capability, because she was going through formal capability and all that, we had to put her on supernumerary. And luckily, she's resigned and she's leaving our trust. But the thing is that because there wasn't any formal outcome regarding her capability, or we haven't taken her to a hearing, there's nothing that we can put on her records to say, yeah, she's gone through this process. This is what she can do, and this is what she can do. If a new manager decides to call our old manager, because the NHS is small, and ask about her, then she might be able to give us some over the phone conversations about her. Yes, but because we can't technically write anything in her in a folder or in a file, there's nothing we can really do to stop her from getting a job somewhere else, where God help us that she doesn't put anybody's life at risk. So it's kind of dangerous, and we need, especially when for healthcare staff, we need to make sure that we're getting it right. We need to make sure we're getting it right. I have been Olo. I'm really sorry that I can't even pronounce. Abenioluwashibi. I think that's how to pronounce your name. My Yoruba is really bad, which is jarring because when I was in secondary school, I used to come first in Yoruba. I could read Yoruba so perfectly. A lot of people don't believe that, but I could read Yoruba so perfectly when I was in school. Yeah. Hi, Moss Analytics. Good evening. Good evening. It's been a while I've seen you actually on these streets of TikTok. It's been a while. How are you doing? How is the civil service? How is the new job? How is everything going there? Hope you're good. Yeah. Yeah. So it is jarring, and I do want to help. Hence the reason why in the next coming months, most of my videos will be about interview questions and answers. I have a client that is, or I have two clients actually that are applying for midwife roles, and I've told them to give me questions that they've been asked during their interview. I think I have a couple of questions already, which I need to do the video about. I'm just being lazy. I don't know why. I'm just being lazy about those videos. I need to get, because it's not my area of expertise. So I'm going to have to. I will need some help to answer those questions for you guys. And over the last couple of weeks as well on my YouTube channel, if you go on my live, try and look at my profile and stuff, you will find that I've done a couple of live shows where I've compiled a a group of questions of my NHS Band 5 mental health questions and answers. I think I did about maybe two interviews. I kind of merged two interviews together. I think there were about 12 questions or so I did in that video, where I gave full questions, answers to those questions, how I would want to hear them if I was sitting across from that person that was interviewing for that role. So you can do well to go and watch that live session. I don't know if I should put it up again because it wasn't really, it's like people were not really interested. But I do actually put in a lot of work in my videos when I do kind of put them out there. I genuinely want to help people to get their roles in the NHS. There's a video on my channel about the benefits of working for the NHS. And when you hear about the benefits that you get from working in the NHS, you'll be astounding. Sickness absence, annual leave, career break, career progression, training, and what else do we do? Pension, amazing pension. What else? What else? So many. I think I did about 10 different flexible working, which is a right for every employee now. Yeah. Which is a plus for, is compulsory for every employee now. Yeah, but yeah. So there's loads of videos on my channel, but the main ones I'm focusing on now, because of what I'm seeing while interviewing, is answering those questions properly. You need to answer those questions properly. The STAR method, it's always the best when you're trying to answer. That kind of puts your head in that right frame of mind, because my role is HR. So when I'm trying to answer questions for you guys or give you guys answers, it's from research, it's from talking to people, it's from listening to what the managers are saying, that this is how what I wanted to answer the question. I was trying to find one of the scoring sheets where it gives you where we kind of what's it called? Where it kind of gives you like, this is what I want to hear in each question, but I can't find it. I think I might have deleted it. I'm just trying to look for I'm trying to look for one of those questions where the manager would have written the parameters of what they want in the manager would have written the parameters of what they want. So for example, the first question they would have said, I want to hear communication, I want to for them to talk about teamwork, I want to hear them to about a multidisciplinary team, I want them to talk about ECG, I want them to mention the NMC code for that question. If those things are not there, that's a difference between, maybe they want to hear about five different things of how your thought process in that question. And out of those five, that's what you get you a five. If you mention all those five things and explain all those five things properly, that will get you a five in that answer. If you mention four, that will probably get you a four or a 3.5. If you mention three, that might get you a three or 2.5. If you mention two, so that way they've already kind of structured the answers for me in that they've structured the answers for me. So it kind of helps me, because of, especially when I'm doing the band seven interviews, the managers are quite always kind of, yeah, iffy about it, in terms of, yeah, Tim, I just wanted to make sure that we're not missing any of the points. But I'm like, yeah, this is not my first rodeo, woman or man, that I don't really need these pointers. But the pointers are good, yes, for me to be able to know what they're looking for. And especially when it now comes to scoring, because we kind of sit together once we finish the interview, mostly at the end of the day or the next day. But I like to do all my scoring on that same day. Um, so once we finish the interview on that day, we'll then sit together. Then we'll down discuss each person's score sheet that I showed you previously. We'll discuss the scores. I mean, the answers that the person gave. So you can see that when we're interviewing you in the NHS, well, I'm not sure. Probably in almost every organization or almost everywhere, you see them writing down stuff. You see them writing. You see them writing and writing and writing. Um, but what's it called? Oh, am I right? 50% or 70% of what you've said. I'm actually a really fast writer actually. I'm am I right? And that's because I do a lot of note taking in my role as HR, doing investigations and all that. As you're talking, I can be typing, I can get at least nearly 80% of what you said. But sometimes I need you to slow down, because sometimes you people are talking really fast. And if I'm doing an investigation and you're talking the way I'm talking, I'm gonna be telling you to slow down, please, because I'm talking really fast and I'm trying to get all the information as much as possible, like you were saying to me. So What was I? 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 So in terms of when they write it down to make sure that they are getting all the right information, then we'll sit down together. We'll now discuss. Sometimes I might have written something and my colleague hasn't written it. I'll be like, oh yeah, the person said this, and my colleague would not say, oh, I didn't get that. Oh, did you really say that? I'm like, yeah, yeah, I said it. I wrote it down. This is it in my paper and all that. Yeah, and we then use that to base our scoring on that. Sometimes we might do like a unanimous conclusion, and sometimes the conclusion that will come up is not always unanimous. Sometimes someone might decide to give this person a 4, someone might decide to give this person a 3, but the differences between the scores is probably between one mark. One person cannot give the person a 4 and the other person gives the person a 1 or a 2. That's not fair scoring, because why didn't you hear all the things that we heard? You need to convince me as to what you heard and what the question is. And that's another thing about listening to the question and answer the question. Sometimes if you ask the question a different way, that might be the right answer. But if the question that was asked was not answered, well, if the question was asked in a different way, that would have been a perfect answer for that. And that's what I was saying to one of my clients. I'm like, no, go back. You're not answering my question. I've written this. Yes. I'll read out my answers to her, because I'm writing, as I was saying to you guys earlier, the ones that joined earlier, that I've written out the answer, as in I've written down the when you're talking to me, I've written down what you're saying. I think this is one of my sheets because I normally just tear them out. 'Cause I don't like keeping all those right. It was just done this week. So I've written down the answers that you've given me, but you've not answered the questions I've given you. And I'll read it out to you to let you hear. So do you think that answers that question? So like I think CEO that was here, I'm not sure if CEO is still here. When CEO was saying that he's been having interviews back to back, but he's not just getting that successful. That means there's something that you're saying that you're not saying right. You might feel as if you're answering the questions, but you're not actually answering the questions. So that's where I come in terms of my coaching, interview coaching, where I kind of guide you, because I sit on NHS panel. I know I know what they want to hear. There's something good about you using the job description, using the JD, using the person specification, reading about the organization. There is all that is good. But sometimes you just need to hear yourself, and you also need to make sure that what you're saying is actually what your answer you're giving is actually the question that's been asked. Because there's no point in them asking you A and you're telling them C. It's in itself it might be correct, if the question was asked in a different way, but really it's not actually correct. You're not actually answering the question properly. So yeah, please make sure that you're answering the questions properly. Yeah, it's a different kettle of fish when you're answering what's it called? I'm just trying to look at my laptop now. Um Answering a question for I think somebody asked me here this week or so when I was on live last about how do you answer weaknesses, or how do you answer a question about weaknesses and all that. You need to just, because I don't really feel that question comes out a lot anymore, really. But if you're asked that kind of question, you just need to be honest and open, making sure that you give a context to your weaknesses, and also show the progress that you've made and put a positive spin to that question as well. I'm just looking at some of my questions and answers that um I've asked. I think this was from one of my clients that I was getting ready for, or yeah, that she was preparing for an interview. I think it was one of the question was, how do you demonstrate compassion in your work? Compassion underpins everything they do. My task is to ensure women's and family feed. Okay, this is one of the midwives one. I'm just reading the answers now. My task is to ensure that women and family feel cared for as individual and not just patients. I ensure that I give patient-centered care to the patients always, putting their needs above what their family feels is needed. Looking after the mom especially. For example, while when supporting bereaved parents, I ensure that they have privacy, clear explanation, and choices about memory making. I work closely with the chaplaincy and bereavement services. They've later expressed gratitude for the sensitivity shown during such a difficult time. So that's one of my kind of interview prep sessions that I was doing. I think this is about 20 questions that we've had to go through. And we've gone through that within 2.5 hours. So kind of intensive prep. So depending on how close your interview is, will determine how intense the preparation is. I actually need to call one of my clients. Oh my goodness. Let me message her now before I forget. Our interview is coming up soon. I need to message her to let her know that um when does she want to when does she want to meet. You're good. Let me see. Because she still has one more session with me. She's paid for a couple of sessions. Yeah. And I think the feedback that she keeps getting, she's done two interviews. And we've done like the first one was a very intense kind of one that she did. She didn't get the job. I'm not going to lie to you and say she got the job at the first try. No, she didn't get the job. This is someone that hasn't worked in the UK before. And there was her ever first interview. Bearing in mind that she's been applying for months before she met me and she's not been shortlisted for any job. Since she started working with me, she's been shortlisted for at least 6 roles. She's done one interview and she has a couple coming up. So she has like a full package that she paid for with me. So that's in she paid for the full suites package. So that was she paid for. So I'm helping her to go through interview and I know definitely that she's gonna get I'm quite confident that she's gonna get the next role. I'm not gonna lie to you and say, oh yeah, the first interview that she went for, she got the job and all that. No, I'm not that kind of person. I'll be as realistic and as honest as possible with you. She came from after applying for over 100 roles, not getting shortlisted at all, to her starting working with me, then getting shortlisted, to then getting interviews. She's done one interview and she's preparing for another interview. And I'm just messaging her now that when is the next interview because I think she said to me it was meant to be next week. So I'm surprised that she hasn't even called me. She called me quite a bit. So I do love her. I do love her a lot. Yeah, and she's one of my babies. Yeah. So we've perfected her application. I keep saying to people that come to me and ask me to write their supporting statement for them. I think I'm going to stop saying no. I'm not going to write it for you. I'll write it for you by myself, and I'll send it to you and ask you to submit it and copy and paste it onto your NHS profile and all that. I'm going to stop saying no. But I've done the applications that part of our payment. Excuse me. I've done that part for her. I've done that part. Sorry, I've done that part for her in terms of her payment for writing the perfect application and writing the perfect supporting statement and all that. I've done all that. Then now we're now in the interviewing, shortlisting. Oh goodness, my hair is moving. Sorry about that. It's a nice wig. I think I just got this new wig and I think I'm liking it. I'm liking this new wig. Yeah, good. I'm gonna call it for tomorrow for church for tomorrow. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we've now gotten to the part of the application form, and we wrote the application form together, the supporting statement, we wrote it together and all that. And she submitted, and she's been getting offers and making we're now being more strategic in terms of the roles that we apply for. She's not just applying for any job. I have this thing that I say to her that's okay, you've seen a job, yeah, you've been over like, yes. Have you called the manager to ask them if they can sponsor? There's no point. And I think part of her get applying for hundreds and hundreds of roles is because she was just applying without checking if that organization actually sponsors. If they don't sponsor, it's an automatic rejection. Especially if you need if you need sponsorship, it's an automatic rejection. So yeah, you need to ensure that the role that you apply for, if you need sponsorship, you've checked with the recruiting team, recruiting manager, recruitment, that they actually sponsor, then go ahead. There's no point in wasting your time applying for a job that you're not going to get shortlisted for. There's no point. So yeah, let me know how you guys are doing. I think I've been talking for so long. Does anyone have any other questions? Does anyone have any other question? I think because I've gone over my 1 hour. Okay, now we start to having to verify ourselves. Okay, I've done that. Yeah. Um. Good evening, everybody. You want Siska? You want a NHS job? You're in Scotland. Scotland have their own NHS jobs, or they have their own yeah, NHS workers. Are you struggling to get a job with the NHS in Scotland? Is that what it is? Because one of the people that reached out to me, the job she's applying for is actually in Scotland. So yeah, and she's not even in the country. So yeah, you can apply for jobs in Scotland, wherever you are. If you're in Scotland, yeah, you can apply there. But if you want to move to the UK, if you want to move to the UK, yeah, it's something I can help with. Applying for roles in the UK, something I can help with. So yeah. So yeah, yeah, yeah. Something you need help with. Oh goodness. I'm trying to move my work from one drive to the other one. I don't know how I'm gonna do myself now. Oh Lord. Yeah. Is there anything else anybody wants to know? I've just gone through the questions. I can't find any question that I haven't answered. I've put my email address there for everyone to see. I can put it up again just in case anyone has missed it. So yeah. So if you need help writing your supporting statement, if you need help with interviewing and all that, yeah, I'm your girl. Just email me at the human resources playbook at gmail.com, and I'll be happy to have that chat with you and see if we can work together. Yeah. I think I have a bit of a space now from letting go of some of my clients in terms of they've gotten their jobs and all that. So yeah. So got that work 23. You need help with interviews. Yeah, email me at the human resources playbook at gmail.com and I can call you. We can have that preliminary talk for us to see how best we can work together, what roles you're planning to apply for, where you are at. Have you gotten interviews? Good evening. Have you gotten interviews? Is it just for the interview prep? So that would determine if that's the right service for you. If you haven't yet gotten interviews, then you might need help writing your supporting statement and ensuring that your application form is perfect. So looking at your job descriptions that you've put into your job history that you've put in there, looking at your qualifications, looking at the way you've written your name, spelling, grammars, and all that. Because it's very annoying when you see applications or supporting statements where they haven't written properly and we're having to we're having to, what's it called, catch out spelling and grammar. One of the managers, I don't know, I think she's very finicky. She will copy and paste your supporting statement into Word and let it highlight all the grammar and spelling mistakes in there. She's very annoying. I don't like her when she does it. And I keep telling her to stop doing it. She's like, she's like, tell me, how would I know who is the person that has taken time to check and make sure that this thing is right? How would I know? That means they can make mistakes easily. That's part of her whole kind of weeding process. You just make go and put an where you're meant to put a. She doesn't even find it funny. Yeah. So yeah, please let me know if you need any more help. I'm trying to multitask. I'm trying to multitask and what's it called? And see it. I'm trying. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. I don't know if it's something. Um, yeah. I'm trying to see what's going on. Yeah, just checking my. Sorry, I was checking my YouTube feed. On my email address, God at God at God at oh my goodness, God at work. My email, I've pinned it several times. I'm going to write it again. You should be able to see it. It's the Human Resources Playbook. Okay, have you seen it now? Let me know if you've seen it. It's the Human Resources Playbook at gmail.com. You see my inbox actually. I have my inbox here. No one has emailed me yet, so yeah. But I think CEO has sent me a DM. Let's see, let me see, let me see. Oh Lord, I'm so tired. Apologies, guys. I'm so tired. It's been a long day. It's been a long day. It's been a long day. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, just I don't like I always say to you guys when I come on live. I don't like just being on live and not creating value. I want to create value. If you guys don't have any questions, um, I want to go to bed. I'm not one for just sitting on live without. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm not just one to just sit on live without. Um, what am I letting this? Yeah. Oh yeah. Send me a DM. Good at work. Yeah, that's fine. Send me a DM and I'll respond to you. Then we can take it from there. Yeah. Oh, thank you for liking the live. All right. Thank you. Yeah. What's it called? I'm not one to just sit on live just because I can or yeah I have. Yeah, I want to impact benefits. I want to come on live and bring what's the word? Add value. Add value really. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. I want to add value. So I think if no one has any questions, I would love to leave for tonight. Where's my phone? I can't find my phone. Oh Lord, I can't find my phone. I could hear my yeah. So yeah, I want to impact value, and if no one has any question, I think I'm gonna have to switch off for tonight. It's been a really amazing session. It's been an amazing session. I know a lot of people are out there that you could spend your time with tonight, watching their live streams or watching the videos or making yourself laugh. But I think having foot in a job that pays well, an organization that is amazing to work for, yeah, it's the best thing. So thank you everybody for watching. I'm coming back. Thank you everybody for watching. I do hope to see you in my next live. Hopefully, I can come back again sometime this week. I do hope to see you in my next live. Until next time, thank you, everybody. And if you want to send me an email, my email address is the human resources playbook at gmail.com. I'm just going to put it out there again. Or you can just send me a DM where I would be able to answer your question and reach out back to you. Until next time, everybody, thank you and have a wonderful night. Thank you. Bye.